simple post caused so much discord. I'm not shitting you. I actually thought that it would be fine for 2XKO to put out a cool combo video, because I think that's the whole point of this, was just to be a cool combo video. I don't think people were supposed to read into it so much more than they did. But of course, the FGC on X, on Twitter, on Reddit, they do that. That's what we do. We just read into shit too much. Like I'm gonna do right now and create talk segment content out of this. It's the best thing I possibly could do, right? Like why sit here and let nothing happen? Instead, we could create phenomenal content based off of another piece of fighting game discourse. For some reason, my music has completely stopped, and it makes me really sad. And I don't know how to fix it. It just like stopped. Maybe I just skip it. Maybe it doesn't want to hear Jin Kisaragi theme. Well, I mean, my internet's still up, so we're gonna let the show go on. I guess maybe there's just no 2XKO bitching on the twits. What a bunch of twats. That's not the issue. Let me pull it out. Let's get it ready. Boom, we're just transition. Okay, so the issue seems to be. Let's go ahead and watch this cool combo. Let's start it over. Twitter compression is really bad. Let's watch this sick combo. That's pretty sick nasty. Just watching the combo, pretty sick nasty. Now the music cut back on at the perfect time. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Now we're gonna read this. It says, "Save this for later. DH up, UFJL JM JH JS1 LMH DFH UFM UFJM JH JS2." Darius BT, handshake tag to Darius. Okay, cool, nice. DH, DS1, T, which is tag, handshake tag to Alawi, dash, UF, JD, H, I believe the brackets mean hold, DDS1. So, for anyone who doesn't know what this means down heavy, up forward, jump light, jump M, or jump light, jump medium, jump heavy, jump special 1, light, medium, heavy, down forward, heavy, up forward, jump medium, jump heavy, jump special 2, Darius handshake tag, or I guess just handshake tag, whatever, right? Down heavy, down special 1, handshake tag, dash up forward, jump down, hold heavy, down, down special 1. Okay, so there's a few issues here. One, if you've never seen this before as a non-fighting game player, you're probably really fucking confused. You don't know what any of this means because they didn't spell anything out for you. And right now, 2XKO seems to have the most eyes on it for a game that is non-traditional FGC and is going to bring in the most non-traditional FGC eyes in general because of a giant following from the Runeterra lore, right? Whether you play Legends of Runeterra, whether you play Teamfight Tactics, whether you play League of Legends, all three, or you just like Arcane and think V and Jinx or Hawk, whatever, right? Or Ari, whoever. There's tons of waifu characters in League of Legends. That's just like part of the Runeterra lore. Right. So, this reads completely illegible to non-fighting game players. But if I gave it to you in a different way, if I said 2 heavy, 9 jump light, jump medium, jump heavy, jump special 1, light 5L, 5M, 5H, 3H, 9, jump 5M, jump 5L. You guys see where I'm going with this. Alright, so there's two major notations in the current landscape of fighting games. And those are traditional notation, which it looks kind of like this. And this works for a lot of games. It works for most games. You could probably make it work. And then there is also number notation, numpad notation. And that's a fallacy, and I'll explain that in a second. And numpad notation takes a number pad if you've never seen one. Hopefully you have. If you don't have a fucking keyboard, I know most of you have smartphones now, so you don't know what the fucking numpad is on a smartphone. But go ahead and look down at your keyboard if you have one. And if you're not rocking a 10 keyless, you'll see a numpad in the exact order from left to right, down to up. Left to right, down to up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that exact notation is exactly how your inputs would work. 1 would be down back, 3 would be down forward, 7 would be up back, and 9 would be up forward, with 5 being neutral, 4 being back, 6 being forward, 2 being down, and 8 being directly up. Okay? And most people tend to agree that the easiest notation to understand is numpad notation. And I think the reason why, it comes from a lack of understanding in other languages. Right? I think we do have one big upside, because people seem to not think about other languages. Down heavy. D is not down in every language. Up forward is not up forward in every language. Jump does not start with a J in every language, right? So if these are the things you're going to use, and you use them specifically for English or English-speaking people, works out just fine. A number pad is the same on every fucking device. It doesn't matter if you buy a keyboard here, or a keyboard in China, or a keyboard in Korea, or a keyboard in Europe. They're all going to have the number pad the same way. It's not going to get flipped upside down. It's not like the old cartoons where the world is literally upside down when you go to Asia. So it will still be in that same order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And because of that, it makes it easier for people who aren't English speakers to understand the notation. And it also generally works. You could make it work for any game. It's kind of awkward in some. I believe that numpad notation in Tekken would be really awkward. You do like 3 RP for like the generic down forward 2. You'd be like 3 RP, 4 LP RP. Like, it sounds really stupid, but it would work. Unfortunately, yeah, it goes to show we got to go back to Shack notation. Yeah, I think Shack notation might be the logical conclusion to everything. So I kind of want to look at some of the quote retweets for this and see who's spitting and who's not. So we have a few reasons. We have a few like notable names here. I want to look at the first one. It says, everyone is so cranky and dogmatic about their chosen combo notation preference, and the replies is pretty funny. Numpad notation has obvious pros, but no matter what when you write a combo, it's going to be gibberish to someone who isn't familiar, and kids don't understand what a numpad is. All right, I got to give Brian F this one problem. You want to send it? You can put it in chat, Colts, there, and we'll show it on stream after for the memes. Numpad notation is readable by anyone who has a numpad. What Brian is trying to get at here is that new phones don't have a number pad, but keyboards still do, and kids use computers more than adults do. They may be handheld, but they also have laptops at school. They have computer labs in school. If you don't understand a number pad, it's because all you've ever looked at is a 10 keyless, and you are an adult who is jaded to other keyboards. Like, you haven't seen a regular keyboard since you were in school. As a kid, you might still see a regular keyboard because they're not using 10 keyless in school, and they're not using 10 keyless on your generic HP or Dell laptops that they give you for school from home. That would have existed 3 years ago, right? So kids absolutely can understand what a numpad is. That's irrelevant. But saying here that when you write a combo like this in either form, it will be gibberish to people who aren't familiar is true. But there's not a language barrier when it comes to numpad notation in comparison to using this kind of notation, thinking about only English speakers. And this is another notable one I saw. This has 6.2k likes and over 200,000 impressions. Because people seeing this as fighting game players are elitist and want everyone to use numpad notation, instead of you literally cannot understand this in any other language, are really annoying. And that's what I'm getting at. I think that specifically when you're thinking about big worldwide games, you should probably use notation that's understandable to the vast majority of people. And I think this is it. I think numpad notation works clunkily for every game, right? And I say that because I had someone in chat, Creeper, say numerical notation doesn't work in this game because the special buttons are noted as S1 and S2. All right, so if you do down S1, that is 2 S1. If you do down S1, which is your super one, that is 2 S1. How does that not correlate? Because all of the buttons are still letters. L, M, H, S1, S2, T, which is tag. They're all still alphabetical values. They're not numerical values, other than S1, S2. But you're putting it at the beginning so you understand that it is a direction, not a button. 2 does not exist by itself. 1 does not exist by itself. So 2, S2 would not mean that you're pressing special 2 3 times. You'd have to be a complete moron to not figure that part out. It does look kind of clunky, but it works. Where's another one? I saw Ruvamonger. Ruvamonger said, not a numpad notation inside nature is healing. This is a really unfortunate take from like such a big creator, because Ruvamonger has an international audience. International players are not going to understand this, right? This game has one upside to it, and it's that there's no quarter circles. You'd be pressing down 3 times. No, you wouldn't. You're pressing, there's no special and special 2 button. It's special 1 and special 2. So if you see 2-2, S1 or 2-2, S2, and you think to press 2 3 times, you're actually a brainlet. Your brain does not work because S2 is a button. It's on the control scheme. S2 is a button. There's no standard S. There's S1 and S2. So you know that it's part of the move notation. So the only thing you're looking at is the precursor to understand that that is a direction. You're a brainlet if you don't see how that works. You'd only argue that if you're trying to argue the team of semantics. This is the FGC, nobody's brains work. We're not building this for the FGC, we're building this for outsiders. Who, you said the FGC doesn't have brains. Outsiders, maybe their brains do work. If they're playing League of Legends, their brains might not work. But if they're playing Legends or Runeterra or Valorant, their brains might work. Maybe not Valorant either. Anyway, I saw another one here. Luckily, we don't have this issue specifically, because for this game, there is no quarter circle inputs, right? And people say that QCB, J, and D are like very easy to understand, or B for back, very easy to understand. Don't understand that, hold on. Hey, what's back in Spanish? My wife didn't answer me. I know she knows Spanish, but she doesn't want to be part of my talk segment, I guess. So if I look up back in Spanish on like a translator, I'm sure it probably doesn't start with fucking B. I'm sure jump doesn't start with J in Spanish. You know what it does? Juego. That means, are they playing the game? Are you doing a juego? A juego into a JL, which is a juego L? What is that? A play L? Anyways. So QCB, which is quarter circle back, or HCF, which is quarter circle forward, a half circle forward, those things do not translate the same in other languages, as you see here. Right? Not an issue we really have to worry about in this game, but that is another thing to think about. When people say that QCB and like QCF, they're very easy to understand for every language, you have to know that language. You have to already understand the fighting game language to know that QCB means quarter circle forward. Because if you're not an English speaker and someone tells you quarter circle forward in your native tongue, you're like, how the fuck does that equal a Q there? What do you mean? Medio circle adelante. Medium circle, adelante. Is that forward? I don't know. I don't know Spanish. You see? It's forward? Thank you. She told me it's forward. Yeah. So if I read this in MCA, if someone said, yeah, MCA light should be totally easy to understand. You're doing quarter circle forward light, idiot, or half circle forward light, idiot. I'm like, how would I know that? I don't know Spanish. So it's probably not a good language to use when you want a game to be big and international. Once again, luckily not really an issue for this game because there's no motions, right? I think Damascus chimes in too. Where's Damascus? I saw Damascus and oh, here we go. Actually, I really like this one. This one's really good. Tabby said why we should use numpad notation C below. And then 2XKO Brazil responds to 2XKO, showing them how this would look in another fucking language. Now, doesn't this just look fucking crazy? Doesn't this look so much weirder? Even a Brazilian told them, hey, maybe we should be using numpad notation. Thanks. We can go back up, because I liked this one too. SQ, really good Guilty Gear player. He says, numpad allows for faster, easier, and condensed notation, works across language barriers, easier to notate movement mid-combo. Microdash is just 6-6, etc. Even if someone has never played a game before, any notation will confuse them, right? Which, I agree. Any notation, if you don't know the language of something, reading or listening to that language will be very confusing. If I start talking to you guys about cars and you have no idea about cars, then you're going to not understand the language. It's a language barrier. Even before we get into other actual spoken tongues, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese, Chinese, etc. Same with computer parts. If I tell you you need to change a RAM stick and you've never opened up a computer in your life, Are you gonna grab the CPU? You fucking might. We should probably remove as many language barriers as we can from a genre that's already so niche. So when it comes to games that are supposed to be for the people, by the people, I don't understand why they wouldn't choose to use specifically numpad notation. Me, personally, if you ask me, I can read both, so it doesn't really affect me. It doesn't change my daily routine at all for playing fighting games. Because I know a lot of games that use JH, even though they use numpad notation. It's a mix of notations there, right? They'll say like J5H because it means jump 5H. Like Dragon Ball. And then other games just use full notation of up of like 9, and then because you press 9, you know you're in the air, and they're just like SHS, which is slash heavy slash, like 5, whatever. Anyways, with that in mind, I could see why there's a big discourse about this, why there's a giant hubbub, because so many people are used to one notation over the other, especially if they come from fighting games that don't inherently use numpad notation. So if the only thing you've ever known is this style of notation, which is probably what they use for games like Tekken and Mortal Kombat, then this looks familiar to you. And numpad notation, on the other hand, is not familiar. While, if you come from 3D fighters, or you come from anime games, numpad notation is more familiar. Even in the FGC, we have different languages that are harder for other people to understand, but I think we should probably find one uniform language to teach for fighting games that works across the board. And either works, if I'm honest, but we should probably pick one and pick the one that is the easiest to decipher for everyone across the board. My vote, truly, is numpad notation, right? There are like games I play that like you don't even really need any notation, right? Like you don't need numpad notation for Fantasy Strike. You don't need numpad notation for Naruto Super Clash of Ninja. You don't need numpad notation for Dragon Ball Z Budokai, right? I'm naming some Kusoges, by the way. You don't need those, but it's nice to know that the language would transfer over to those just fine. Just that the language would have transferred over to this just fine. Tell me what you guys think about this discourse over fighting game written combo notation languages in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video if you want to see more of these talk segment style content. It's pretty much all we put out. Subscribe to the channel. I think I already said that. And if I didn't, please subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. And this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTubes, talking about the discourse around notations for fighting games. Signing out and saying, I think we should use numpad. Peace.